The Galactic Council's monthly diplomatic dinner was supposed to be a gesture of unity. Representatives from 12 different species gathered in the crystalline halls of Station Kepler-4 42b, each bringing their finest culinary offerings to share with their peers. The tradition had continued for over 2 centuries, fostering understanding through the universal language of food. Ambassador Sarah Chun stood beside her modest contribution, a simple wooden table laden with what appeared to be unremarkable dishes, compared to the Zephyrians' liquid nitrogen sculptures that shifted colors with each temperature change, or the Thracians' gravity-defying floating spice clouds. Her spread looked almost primitive. "What is this supposed to be?" sneered Ambassador Vexto, his forearms gesturing dismissively at Sarah's table. The insectoid Mantary's compound eyes reflected the overhead lights as he leaned closer, mandibles clicking in what passed for laughter among his people. "Traditional human cuisine," Sarah replied calmly, straightening her diplomatic uniform. "I thought you might enjoy trying something different." The other ambassadors had begun to gather, drawn by Vexto's obvious amusement. Ambassador Kretok, whose gelatinous Wilberian form rippled with each movement, oozed closer to examine the offerings. "How ... Quaint," Kretok gurgled, his voice bubbling through his translucent body. "Such primitive preparation methods." "Do humans still cook their food with fire?" "Some of it, yes," Sarah nodded, maintaining her diplomatic composure despite the growing circle of amused aliens. The crystalline delegate, Ambassador Zareth, whose silicon-based body chimed musically with each step, approached the table. "These appear to be simple chemical combinations. Where are the molecular restructuring devices? The quantum flavor enhancers?" Sarah gestured to her dishes with pride. "This is pizza bread, tomato sauce, cheese, and various toppings. This is barbecue slow-cooked meat with spices. And this," she pointed to a large pot, "is my grandmother's chicken soup." The assembled delegates burst into their species equivalents of laughter. The Avari's feathers ruffled with mirth, while the robotic Nexus unit's optical sensors flickered in synchronized amusement patterns. "Grandmother's recipe?" Ambassador Tisara, the Serpentine Nagani representative, hissed with derision. "How?" "Wonderfully ... primitive. Do you also use tools made of stone?" Sarah's jaw tightened, but her voice remained steady. "These recipes have been passed down through generations, refined over thousands of years. They represent the culmination of human culinary evolution." "Evolution?" Vextul's mandibles clicked rapidly. "This looks like the kind of sustenance we would feed to our larvae." The insults continued as the other species presented their elaborate creations. The ethereal's light-based nutrition absorbed directly through specialized organs. The quantum collective's probability flavor particles that existed in superposition until consumed. Each presentation was met with polite applause and genuine interest. When the tasting began, the aliens approached Sarah's table with barely concealed condescension. Ambassador Kretok was the first to sample the pizza, extending a pseudopod to absorb a small piece. The change was immediate. His gelatinous form suddenly stilled, the constant rippling motion ceasing entirely. A shudder ran through his translucent body. "What ... What is this?" he whispered, his usual gurgling tone replaced with something approaching reverence. Before Sarah could answer, Kretok had engulfed the entire slice, his body glowing with an inner light she'd never seen before. Vexto, curious about his colleagues' reaction, carefully picked up a piece of barbecue with one of his 4 hands. His compound eyes widened as he bit down, his mandibles working furiously to savor every morsel. "The complexity ... double quotes he breathed, the layers of flavor ... How is this possible?" Soon a crowd had formed around Sarah's table. Ambassador Zareth, who had never consumed organic matter before, found his crystalline structure resonating harmoniously with the chicken soup's warmth. The Avari delegate, Skysra, had abandoned all pretense of dignity as she devoured slice after slice of pizza with her talons. The change in atmosphere was palpable. The sophisticated chatter about molecular gastronomy and quantum cuisine had given way to primal sounds of satisfaction. Even the usually stoic Nexus units were rapidly analyzing and cataloging flavor profiles with obvious fascination. More, Ambassador Tessara demanded, her forked tongue flicking out to capture every last drop of barbecue sauce. I require more of this ... Comfort food, Sarah supplied, unable to hide her smile as she watched the most powerful beings in the galaxy reduced to their most basic instincts by her grandmothers. Recipes. What followed could hardly be called diplomatic. Ambassador Vextel and the Thracian representative Grummer engaged in what appeared to be a physical altercation over the last piece of pizza. The usually refined Kretok had absorbed enough soup to double his mass, glowing like a small star with contentment. Impossible, declared Ambassador Zareth, his crystalline form chiming frantically. How can such simple ingredients create such complex sensory experiences? Our food scientists will need to study this immediately. The chaos reached its peak when the final piece of barbecue remained. 3 ambassadors, a Nagani, a Manthari, and an ethereal who had somehow manifested in a physical form just to participate, stared at it with undisguised hunger. Perhaps, Sarah suggested diplomatically, we could share it. The suggestion was met with growls, hisses, and fluctuating energy patterns that clearly communicated the universal concept of absolutely not. As the evening wound down in security, forces arrived to separate the feuding diplomats. Sarah packed her empty dishes with quiet satisfaction. The Galactic Council would be discussing human cuisine for months to come, but not in the way they had originally intended. Ambassador Vextel approached her as she prepared to leave, his usual arrogance replaced with something approaching humility. Ambassador Chun, he said quietly, we may have underestimated human culture. This comfort food of yours ... It awakened something in us, something we didn't know we were missing. Sarah nodded graciously. Food isn't just about nutrition, Ambassador Vextel. It's about connection, memory, and love. That's something that transcends species. As the station's lights dimmed and the delegates retreated to their quarters, Sarah smiled to herself. Tomorrow, she suspected, would bring a flood of requests for recipes and invitations to cultural exchanges. Sometimes the path to galactic unity ran straight through the stomach.